Bring in our team this morning, NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale, Kimberly Atkins, columnist for the Boston Globe and co-host of the Sisters-in-Law podcast, and Michael Steele, former RNC chairman, both MSNBC political analysts. Ali, the committee really wants to hear from Pat Cipollone. What are you hearing about how hard they're pushing to try and get him to testify?
Jose, they've been pushing for weeks now on Pat Cipollone, publicly in multiple hearings now, saying that they'd like to hear from him. And yesterday's testimony from Cassidy Hutchinson gives us a lot more insight into why. Cipollone, of course, was atop the White House counsel's office in so many of these meetings with top DOJ officials, as well as the chief of staff and the president himself. Hutchinson yesterday detailing some of those conversations that she had with Cipollone, where he told her that he was concerned about the legal ramifications of what it would mean for the former president to come up to the Hill, despite the fact that he really wanted to do so. And of course, then conversations that he had with Mark Meadows, where at one point, in Hutchinson's words, Cipollone warned that if they didn't do more to stop what was happening at the Capitol, they would have blood on their hands. Early this morning, Vice Chairwoman of the committee, Liz Cheney, in a tweet, again imploring Cipollone to come forward, in part saying that, as we heard yesterday, Cipollone had significant concerns regarding Trump's January 6th activities. She says it's time for Cipollone to testify on the record. Any concerns he has about the institutional interests of his prior office are outweighed by the need for his testimony. What she's talking about there about the institutional interests is the fact that there are probably executive privilege claims around what Cipollone can talk to the committee about. It's something that we've seen others in the former president's orbit try to exercise. They are also arguing here, though, that Cipollone can ask for those to be waived, and that the current White House, the Biden administration, has said that those executive privilege concerns are waived. So this is tied up in court on a few other fronts. Cipollone clearly having privilege concerns is one of the things that might prevent him from testifying, but they are still in conversation with him in hopes of trying to get more from him. And again, yesterday is a clear reason why.
Yeah, and Michael, I'm just wondering, yesterday there were so many moments that were really jaw-dropping. What were your takeaways from yesterday?
Oh, it was a popcorn afternoon. Let me tell you, man, I was just sitting there, revelation after revelation, going, holy hell, what, you can't believe it, from the insistence to get up to the Hill, telling Secret Service to take down the magnetometers that would wave, that would catch people coming in with weapons. Now we know why there was the bulletproof glass in front of the president for that event, which is unusual in that type of setting, because they will have, sourced that crowd and know that it was safe. But they knew it wasn't safe because there were people in there with weapons because the president wanted them to have weapons. Then the episode with the driver, with his Secret Service driver, trying to commandeer the vehicle. There's some discrepancies about that, but all the more reason for those people with that kind of insight and knowledge to come forward. I don't understand the Cipollone narrative at this point. I don't understand the committee's approach to him at this point. Get him there, because he's a clear linchpin in this narrative. This idea of executive privilege doesn't apply. This idea that, you're not going to cooperate, well, you got the constitutional right to the Fifth. We've seen that play out. Get him in front of the committee to finish out the rest of this narrative.
Yeah, and Kim, I'm just wondering, there's been some pushback to Hutchinson's testimony, and Michael was referring to some of the things that she said, that some pushback has been. A close source to the Secret Service now pushing back on her story that Trump wanted to go to the Capitol so badly that he lunged for the steering wheel of the limo or the neck of the driver. And now a spokesperson for former White House lawyer Eric Hirschman says a note shown yesterday in the hearing that Hutchinson said she wrote was actually written by him. Congressman Raskin brushed these discrepancies aside on Morning Joe. Listen to what he had to say this morning.
Nobody is challenging the central material facts of her testimony, that Donald Trump and Mark Meadows were perfectly aware that there were armed people in the crowd, yes, and that Donald Trump wanted to wave them in order to swell the force of that crowd, which he then aimed like a missile at the U.S. Capitol.
Kim, just your thoughts on that. I mean, the overall point that she was making, is that strong enough to withstand these pressures?
Yeah, so a couple points on that. First of all, Michael is exactly right that the key to this is getting all of the relevant witnesses before the committee so that the committee can vet all of their testimony. She was testifying under oath about what she was told. And so she still, overall, her testimony seemed very credible to me. Secondly, even under NBC's own reporting about the discrepancies, there was no discrepancy that Trump was angry, that he wanted to go to the Capitol. The other parts aren't as important. I was watching this hearing yesterday while reading the text of relevant statutes, including inciting an insurrection, including seditious conspiracy, including intimidation of witnesses, and seeing, based on just yesterday alone, that testimony, it seems that there would be evidence of all of those things on the part of the president. Also keep in mind, the committee, this isn't just based on one person's word. The committee has been interviewing hundreds of witnesses, amassing an untold amount of documentary evidence surround all of this. I highly doubt that folks like Liz Cheney and the other committee members, very skilled investigators, former prosecutors, would put a witness before the nation without knowing that they had some other goods there as well. So I do also believe that Cipollone needs to testify. He should know better than most that the way to assert executive privilege is to show up to the committee and assert it to questions, not just to not show up.
And then, Kim, there's the issue about accusations of witness tampering. Cheney showed two examples at the end of yesterday's hearing of witnesses sharing details of people trying to sway their testimony. Could that change the Justice Department's approach?
It should. Again, I was reading that statute as well. It is a federal crime to intimidate people in an official proceeding, including congressional hearings. That is something that the DOJ should be looking very carefully at in this case. It seemed that too, if that is proven, is a clear-cut reason to at least open an investigation, if not convene a grand jury.
Michael, there's one more moment I want to play where the committee played part of the video testimony from Michael Flynn. This was Congresswoman Cheney questioning him. Take a look.
Do you believe the violence on January 6th was justified morally?
Take the fifth.
You believe the violence on January 6th was justified legally?
Fifth.
General Flynn, do you believe in the peaceful transition of power in the United States of America?
The fifth.
So the fifth, it's, I guess, just, Michael, what were your thoughts when you saw that?
Dude, you don't want to incriminate yourself in answering the question about a peaceful transfer of power. That tells me how corrupt you are. The fact that you can't answer, I mean, look, I get the constitutional right to plead the fifth, and I appreciate all that, but some questions are just so damn easy and so innocuous, and Liz was giving him a setup, just saying, okay, I may not be able to get in some of the legal quagmire on the other stuff, but with respect to the constitutional value of transfer of power, peaceful transfer of power that we have seen executed in this country for over 240 years, I have no opinion on that. I don't want to incriminate myself. How dumb do you sound, and how guilty do you sound with respect to a larger conspiracy around trying to overthrow the government to secure for Donald Trump an election that he had lost? So that, to me, was a very compelling moment. And again, it just goes to the fact that Cipollone and others who have this evidence now have to come in and fill in those lines. I agree so much with Kim. She put it right on the point that this team of investigators and this committee are not going to put Ms. Hutchinson out there and just have her dangle something out that can be easily refuted, easily disposed of, and turned into a political cudgel against her and the committee. So they got goods. All they're saying is, can y'all just come in and confirm these goods? Because we're going to confirm them, but it's better for you if you're a part of that confirmation than for us to drop this anvil on your head like they're going to do, or like they've already done.